Hello everyone, welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So again, we're based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania, so literally right between Philadelphia and Lancaster. If you live in North Wilmington, Newark area, Northeast Maryland, Lancaster, Allentown, South Jersey, do me a favor, reach out to us. We even have a gentleman from Bloomsburg who joins us. We're out to have fun. We're always looking for reasons to play with our toy soldiers, as my buddy Dave always says. And the thing is it's not that we're not competitive. It's just the most important thing is to enjoy the game. So I went down to Quest for the Grail out in Durham, North Carolina. Those were some of the best, nicest players I've ever had the privilege of met. I actually met Once Bitten, awesome guy. Gentleman who I played with this game was John Wagner. And just super, super nice guy. Everyone there had beautifully painted armies. I felt ashamed to even put mine on the table with some of them. And I mean, that's really all I can say. So if you ever have a chance to go to Atomic Empires or the surrounding clubs in that area in Durham, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, oh my God. I mean, there were people there from Tennessee, South Carolina. We were from Philadelphia. It's just such a good crowd. Virginia, the guys who do Mountain Mayhem. There was Todd Wyatt was there, who is from Virginia as well. I mean, just such a great group. Enough about the people who I play with, which I still can't say enough about. We're going to go ahead and get into this second game that I played there, and it was against Empire of Sonnstahl by, again, John, versus my Dwarven holds. So I do have experience against the Empire of Sonnstahl because that's what Dan, as my group, plays half the time. So I knew what I was getting myself into, but the one thing with the Quest for the Grail is it allows you to turn around and take a monster from another army. And it's also a 5K tournament. And first thing this guy does when we both sit down at the table or get to the table, he's like, "Would you like a beer?" "Sure." And I felt bad because I wanted to buy him a beer after the game too. And unfortunately, he's like, "Nah, I got to be driving." I'm like, crap, can't even return the favor. But I mean, if that doesn't say enough about the guys. So I'm going to go ahead and show you our deployment, and I ended up getting first turn. So here's a picture of the first turn. I'm going to go through his list real quick. He's got a prelate that's got the Hero's Sword, Dragon Helm, Crown of Autocracy, so it's +1 leadership, Altar of Battle. He's got a Holy Relic, which has Unerring Strike, and again, it says horse, but it's the thing is, it's on the Altar of Battle. He's got that Inquisitor, which has the Axe of Battle, so now all of a sudden it's got 6 attacks, lethal strikes, multi-wounds, Lucky Shield, Lucky Charm, Potion of Swiftness. He's got a Knight Commander, and with his Knights, he's got a Marshal. That's going to be his, I believe, his BSB, which is going to be all the way in the back with his Halberdiers. He's got a 40-man unit of Halberdiers. He's got a Wizard with a total of 2 learned spells. He's got 8 Electoral Cavalry. What else does this gentleman have? I already mentioned, oh, I'm sorry, he had 43 Halberdiers. He had 10 State Militia that had pistols. He had another 10 Militia that had bows. He had 2 units of Flagellants. One's at 25, one's at 24, and 2 cannons. And then he also had the Cyclops from the Beasts. The thing with the Cyclops is it basically acts like a rock lobber. If you watch or listen to our episode regarding artillery, it's got some punch to it, and then it's a monster to boot. So here I am facing 2 cannons and then a moving rock lobber or a catapult. It's different. And then you got those 2 large unbreakable units. And he fielded them going lengthwise. And they have flails. So I absolutely understand the reason why he did that. One thing, though, is that when you're going up against a dwarf player, you're going first. It doesn't make a difference. Even ogres, even the undead go before dwarves. Why? They're dwarves. Why they have slow initiative, I actually don't know or grasp that concept. Why they have movement 3, that I understand. So if you listen to my other reports, you know my army. But again, I've got my king on a throne. The throne is Dominic the Donkey. He's got his 1+ armor save, toughness 6, reroll to wounds against him, and a 5+ ward save. Otherwise, he's using a great weapon. My Thane, who's my BSB, has the Rune of Precision, so lightning reflexes, and Rune of Smashing. So he's strength 10 against toughness 5 or greater. And he also has a 1+ armor save. My Runesmith has Devouring and Brilliance, and then I've got an Engineer with a shield. 10 guild-crafted handgunners. Let's see. 10 warriors at Vanguard, great weapons, throwing weapons, and unit champ. I've got 15 warriors with a shield wall, and I've got 25 spearmen with shields and a war banner. I've got 2 organ guns, one with flaming, both with +1 to wound. I've got 20 deep watch with a champion and the banner of dismay. 3 Hold Guardians, 2 Vengeance Seekers, 5 Rangers with just shields. That's it. So when I look at the board the way it's currently is, I'm able to turn around Chaffham up. Because his prelate was turned sideways and going the wrong direction, I wasn't concerned about getting countercharge. And my big concern was to either be out of sight from his flagellants with my vanguarding, and this was diagonal deployment, by the way. I forgot to mention that. It was diagonal deployment, and each of those gems represents a fire pot that gives you extra victory points at the end of the game. But if you pick them up, you actually take damage. So where were we? I have those 2 blocks of flagellants. They're frenzied. So my attitude is if they turn around and they're able to hit me on the flanks with that vanguarding unit, well, then all of a sudden they have to overrun. You're now giving me a flank or a rear with my Hold Guardians or my Deep Watch getting in. My Hold Guardians are within 6 inches of my throne, so all of a sudden they have now Swift Stride, movement 5. I've got the Vengeance Seeker on the right-hand side, and again, if he chooses to charge that, all right, it's 120 points, and now that unit of Flagellants is so far out of position because it has to overrun, and once it kills him, it's a turn to turn around, and then to get back into the game. So I've got 2 rounds of shooting at it. And you can see on the bottom left, I have 1 organ gun. The bottom right, I have the other organ gun on top of the hill. And the Engineer is actually closer to the one on the left, the one without flaming, because his prelate does have the Dragon Helm, which is +1 armor, but also gives it fire resistance, the 2+ ward save against flaming. So let's see. I don't have a lot of pictures, just to forewarn everybody. So it's going to be a fairly fast battle report. So up here, I turn around, I do some shooting, I move up with my spears, and that's it. So now it's his turn. He charges in. Oh no, he shoots and then magics. Does he do any charge? He does no charges. He just moves up his flagellants. Here's a better picture. Moves up his flagellants up, and he's trying to take on the Vengeance Seeker on the upper right. Just fell over. He's not dead. He shoots and then magics that entire unit of vanguarding great weapons to death, which is a shame because I feel that if I had been able to have any of them, like a couple of them, live, then they would have turned around and actually been able to take out that unit of Pistoliers and then that unit behind them. And because of great weapons, even be able to give his prelate kind of a run for his money. He moved up with his knights. I feel like he was being a little too cautious on my right flank, so the left-hand side of the picture here. And that's it. His cannons were spot on this game. His first cannon turns around, does like 3 wounds to 1 organ gun, misses the second shot, and then kills it the following turn, and then he repeats the process. So, because of what he did, let's see. This is just another picture. So the beginning of my movement, you see where he moved his big unit of flagellants right there in the middle of the board. That centerpiece terrain is actually, we're treating it like ruin. So anything that marches in there, unless it has skirmishing, has to take dangerous terrain tests. It's just too tempting not to do this. So what I end up doing is I end up charging in with my flagellants and my spearmen. And I also am able to get a flank charge off on the flagellants. Yes, I know they're unbreakable, but you don't want to go into the bears with the infantry there. At the same time, he doesn't want to go into the bears with the into the deep watch with the infantry either, because that's just waiting, asking something to die. So I'm happy. I'm happy with how this is turning out. But like I said, he's already done wounds to one of my organ guns, and his little foreshadow here is not long for this world. So that's it. So whatever you think is about ready to happen. So there's that. Here's that. Out of that hit, out of that combat, I had my first off. I had hatred against the flagellants. I had reroll hits. I had -1 to hit against my deep watch, and I only lost four total, 4 dwarves, 4 wounds. Okay, against my unit, I killed the flagellants to a man, and I still had wounds to spare. That's how hard hitting with Thunderous Charge, with Swift Stride, with those buffs from the runesmith, that you're able to make dwarves, and to be able to turn around and kill 25 or 24 unbreakable models in a single turn. Granted, it was a multi-charge, but to me that's still impressive. That's all I can say. To me that was impressive. During his turn, he turns around, he ends up killing my organ gun, and that's that. The bears end up getting killed, I believe, by his prelate that ended up charging in. And there's my Vengeance Seeker on the one flank trying to be pesky. And this is how, I forget which turn this was at this point. So again, I'm moving up. The one organ gun's done. He already put more wounds on the other organ gun. And I'm trying to go after his prelate at this point. I did put a couple wounds on that prelate, but nothing really hard. The spearmen are actually closer, but due to that piece of terrain, I just couldn't put it anywhere. Where in order to show that, would have required us moving the piece of terrain. And my deep watch got into his halberdiers at the top. And I forgot to mention this, is in a previous turn, he went from being 4 deep to going like 8 deep. And the reason why he did that is he saw the hitting power of the deep watch. He knew how many ranks I had. He knew I would have eaten through probably one of those ranks. So then we would have been tied on ranks, and then it would have been broken and killed. And he has his BSB back there, and his mage is playing hide and go seek back there as well. So over here, again, this is just combat. I want to say I ended up going into his guys with the pistols with the Vengeance Seeker. I'm trying to get up to those cannons with my 15 clan warriors, but to no avail. And that's what he's pretty much using his giant and his cavalry trying there to protect. That's that. He charges into the Vengeance Seeker that was in the forest, passes all his dangerous terrain tests. And yeah, that's it. He turns around. He tries shooting at. He does shoot at my handgunners. Kills a couple of handgunners, and that's it. Meanwhile, the combat up at the top of the screen, that's just turning into a grind fest. I mean, that's literally what is happening up there. Is just a grind. I'm not sure if he's thinking about charging in with his Cyclops into the flank of the Deep Watch or not. To me, that probably would have been a bad idea, where you probably would have started killing some of the Deep Watch with the Cyclops, but the King would have just eaten the Cyclops eventually in about 2 turns. So, let's see. Over here, the reason why my BSB is back behind the unit is because he kept falling over, because it is a little top-heavy. It's an old metal model. And that's just him doing some wounds via magic or shooting. Vengeance Seeker up at the top is taking names up there. Ends up beating them up. And then I try to have him go into the archers, because they're able to stand and shoot or something like that. So they actually end up killing my Vengeance Seeker before he ever gets into combat with them. Otherwise, that would have been a bad day for them. My spears make it into the prelate, and that's all he's got left. After my organ gun gets through with that other unit is about 4 or 5 flagellants from his second unit. And I was trying to chaff him up with my engineer so he didn't get to my other organ gun. The organ gun just opened up and let loose. And need I say more? There's only a couple left. Those, to me, organ guns are probably perhaps the best artillery piece in the game right now. Deep Watch finally did enough wounds to... It's not that I broke Steadfast. Let me go back. So, oh, wrong way. So here's my dwarves spearman getting into his prelate, and my BSB has smashing. Well, his prelate's toughness 5 with a 4-up ward save. He only has 1 or 2 wounds left after all the shooting I've done at it to him so far. Kills the prelate outright with his attacks at strength 10. Meanwhile, I issue a challenge to my king the first turn. He accepted with his unit champ. Then I issue a challenge again the second round of combat, and I think it was either second or third round of combat, I killed his BSB. So without the rerolls, prelate was dead. So he doesn't have that high leadership. He fails his leadership 7 test. That runs. Because that broke, that caused a panic test from his mage, running from the closest model, ran from the Deep Watch. So now all of a sudden, and the archers ran as well, because they were leadership 6. So all of a sudden, that entire flank is cleared. He actually charged in with his flagellants into my handgunners, and I didn't lose a single handgunner. I stood and shot because he was outside of 4 inches, and just pulverized them. I think he got in with like maybe 1 or 2, and then he whiffed, and I either made 1 6+ armor save, and then I killed his one remaining flagellant. So what he has left on the board at this point is he has his cavalry with characters in there, two cannons, one of which can't fire anymore, and his Cyclops. That's it. He's managed to kill both of my organ guns from those cannons. Those cannons were just spot on for him this game, but unfortunately, close combat-wise, I had him outclassed, I feel. And getting that double charge off with the spears and the Deep Watch, it's just brutal. I'm trying to think on what I may have done differently had I been John. And John played it. To me, he played a good game. Because of the Runesmith, I was able to stack the deck where I needed to stack the deck. Okay, so to me, I always hear up on the boards on how dwarves aren't that good right now and everything else. And I'm going, I don't know where you guys are coming from. In this tournament, there were 4 dwarf players. 3 of them finished in the top 50%. Okay? To me, they are a strong, resilient army. You need to make sure that you're doing it properly. You need to make sure that you utilize their strengths. Bodyguard is unbelievable. And that's why I didn't want to go mess with that electoral cavalry, because they have bodyguard, 2-up armor, 2 attacks each. That Inquisitor, which, yeah, my king might be able to take him out if I get the charge. However, he's going first. He has lethal strikes on 6s and multi-wounds, D3s. He has the ability to kill my king. And my king is like, I don't want that. I don't want to go anywhere near that. That is a well-designed unit by my opponent right there. The flagellants are well-designed. I just feel like I was able to bait him going after the Vengeance Seeker to really take the one out of the way. One of my mistakes was to charge in there with the Whole Guardians, because then I threw away that unit. And they are chaff as far as I'm concerned. They are a throwaway unit for me, but I probably could have utilized them better. Had I just gone after the Prelate with them, going after the handgunners, I think that would have been a better choice, and just really left the that one unit of flagellants. And meanwhile, the other unit of flagellants that he tried to chaff up the middle because they're unbreakable. That was a good, smart idea by my opponent. The error there by my opponent was the fact that he had it so wide that I was able to chew through him. I had enough attacks between the 2 units. Had he turned around and done a simple 5-man block, a 5-man square, so 5 by 5, I would not have been able to chew through that unit as quickly as I did. Okay, I would have been able to get 1, maybe 2 of the units in there, which case it probably would have thrown the. I still would have thrown the deep watch with the king and tried to get the spears, so I just get the BSB and that 1 extra row of spearmen. It's a tough sell at this point, but really that the wide frontage did not serve him well. And at the same token, on the other unit that was on the right flank playing peekaboo with my Vengeance Seeker, I shot the crap out of him. I mean, it had a fair amount, and then all of a sudden my organ gun dropped him down to like 5-6 models. So, and then the organ gun died thanks to his cannons. The cannons were just a moment late, but they served their purpose because they're 280. So 280, what was that? 560 killed over 600 points versus of just War Machines. So he won that. He definitely won that aspect there. Starts giving me a little bit more faith back in the cannons. I just always feel like the cannons aren't worth it, but he just proved me wrong doing the double cannon mode. That's all I have to say. I mean, it was a fun game, a wonderful opponent. If John, wherever you are, if you're watching this, thank you so much for this game. It ended up being a massacre for the dwarves, and really for the MVPs, those cannons. I mean, turn 1, 3 wounds. Turn 2, dead. Turn 3, 3 wounds. Turn 4, dead. I'm like, he just ripped apart. I think we only got in our 5 turns too. But for me, my deep watch with the king marching down the field helped obliterate the unit of flagellants, then took out the unit of halberdiers with the BSB. That caused the mage and the archers to flee off the board. So that there is definitely my MVP. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to post. Until next time.